We got an update. Cops killed a man over a traffic violation. They are now indicted. Put them up full mass. Cops indicted for fatally shooting a black man during a damn traffic stop. Grand jury has now indicted Steven Randolph Frederick Jr. and Michael Rhinewalt, two Mississippi Capitol Police, for manslaughter in the still-murky shooting death of 25-year-old Jaylen Lewis, motorist, in 2022. So Officer Steven Randolph Frederick Jr. and Michael Rhinewalt acted, quote, willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously, without malice, without authority of law, with malice, without authority of law, and not necessary self-defense during a traffic stop. So the true bill was obtained in Mississippi today, alleges Lewis and a 21-year-old female passenger were pulled over by Mississippi Capitol Police. This was in Jackson, Mississippi, for a traffic stop, 9 p.m., September 25th, 2022. According to the police report, Frederick and Rhinewalt told investigators that one of them shot Lewis in self-defense after Lewis drove his car toward them. Lewis was shot in the head and died the next day, leaving behind a 4-year-old daughter, 2-year-old son. Heart goes out, obviously, to this family, to the children who are fatherless now because of the criminal actions of two individuals who were supposed to protect that father. Police report says, no, we were in fear of our lives. He was driving toward us. Typically, you have police reports that will fudge details, but this detail created an absolute get out of jail free card if they pulled it off, but they did not. Upon hearing of the indictment, Lewis's mother, can't imagine what she's going through. Her name is Arkila Lewis, said, quote, I could jump for joy. She has been trying for 3 years to find out why her son's car was stopped by an unmarked police car that night and what led to the shooting. Quote, he was a really good kid. I just want to know what happened. Were the lights on when you pulled my baby over? What was he doing? She said during a press conference covered by WAPT News and New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. This was in 2023, not too long after his death. So Ms. Lewis later said that the woman riding with her son told her that an officer walked toward them with his gun drawn. Quote, my son screamed out, it's the police. He froze. That's when the shots were fired. The indictment does not say which officer shot Lewis. Okay? That's easy. I know exactly who shot him, both of them, period. And here's why. Take off that blue uniform. Because according to the grand jury, they acted outside of the law, had no authority, and did not act in self-defense. So if that's true, why do we consider the uniform that they were unworthy to wear? Because it sounds as if they are acting as private citizens and not agents of law enforcement, which means that if two individuals engage in a felony act and one person kills the victim, what happens in this country, 48 states long? Both of you are charged with the murder. Period. There's more. According to the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, Frederick was allowed to resign March 2023, shortly after crashing his own state-owned vehicle. He was charged with the DUI. He was then employed by the Scott County Sheriff's Department, according to Mississippi Today. Scott County Sheriff Mike Lee said Frederick had been working at his department for about a year when he was notified of the indictment, after which he was suspended without pay. Quote, Steven has been a good employee and worked without any complaints or incidents. Well, look at that. He commits murder and all of a sudden, he's humble as a church mouse. We were surprised by the indictment. I want you to understand the words of the sheriff. We were surprised by the indictment, Lee said. Rhinewalt has been on administrative leave without pay, has not been actively employed with an agency since 2025, DPS said. Okay, let's go to the sheriff, Mike Lee. Mike Lee suspended the cop for getting indicted, but hired the cop knowing the cop killed this young man. He wasn't surprised that the cop committed murder based on the indictment. He was surprised that a grand jury in Mississippi would ever indict a cop for killing a black man. Why suspend him now, Sheriff? Doesn't make sense to me. Without pay. You hired him. Before his indictment in March, Rhinewalt already faced other charges, 2 aggravated assault. Charges stemming from a traffic stop a month before Lewis's death. They were on a roll. Rhinewalt and Officer Jeffrey Walker pulled over a car in Sinatra, Jordan, August 2022, after he allegedly failed to stop at a red light. Jordan took off. Police chase ensued. And they decided to just shoot into Jordan's vehicle. Sharita Harris, a passenger, innocent, just riding, was shot in the head. Seems to be a pattern. Mississippi grand jury eventually indicted Jordan for felony fleeing and for shooting at the officers, which he denies. Harris says her face is now paralyzed. She was never charged with a crime and is now suing the officers for $3 million, accusing them of excessive force. Her attorney, Carlos Moore, told WJTV News he believes Rhinewalt was the shooter. A grand jury decided in December of 2024 to indict Rhinewalt and Walker, alleging they willfully, unlawfully, feloniously attempted to cause bodily injury to both Jordan and Harris. They got off light. It should have been attempted murder. Meanwhile, state and federal authorities, put them up, are examining what role Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey may have played in the August dismissal of DUI charges against Frederick. Mississippi Today is reporting on this. Bailey already faces intense scrutiny related to the self-described, remember, Goon Squad. We brought it to you. Indisputable. Interviewed the victims. This is as corrupt as a local police department likely gets. If it's not the most corrupt, it's up there. Goon squad, fixing tickets. We now have a story out there about the sheriff basically having slaves on his farm. And now this. Law enforcement has a cultural issue. Jackson, thoughts?
So, I think that the general atmosphere that we're in right now is ultimately going to provide, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, strong opportunity to really organize on the ground. And I know this is a point that I bring up often, but the reality is that the American public has become too accustomed to gun violence of all kinds. We've already went through the George Floyd protests. We've already seen so many issues and come up with gun violence and all sorts of other issues that we deal with, and nothing really changes, which has a lot to do with why Kamala lost, because the public doesn't really particularly have faith in the Democrats just because they'll throw you a bone every once in a while. But at the end of the day, it's really our responsibility to do something about this. I'm 33 years old right now. I say that a lot, but pretty much all of us in that like mid 20s to 50 plus range, but kind of that mid 20s to 50 range. It's really our turn to step up. A lot of these people who are in positions of power, they're in their 70s, 80s, or maybe they're younger than that, but just that corrupt rotating door. These people are lazy. These people aren't really ready to fight if we unite and come together. So tell your cousin to run for office
Right.
somewhere, because that's really the only reason any of this is going to change. People need to see results so that we can believe again.
Well said. Well said. We are the change. We are the leaders that we were waiting for. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come.